We're live. Let's see. We had Lars in here 5 minutes after the link went up this morning. Unfinished project. Dan E. Boyd. Unfinished project talking about 3/4 cam. Bobby Frizzell was here earlier this afternoon. Danny Boyd's wanting me to check out something that's in the Dayton Daily News. There's a link to it in the chat if you want to scroll back and find it. The One-Eyed Cat. Dean Stevenson, Justin Hill, 38 Racing, Colleen, a.k.a. Mama M to the third power, Dust Devil Garage, never done projects, does not get the Dark Sport thing, but that's okay, he will. Hang around here long enough, you'll figure out where that came from. Let's see here. Bad Tree Blake is here. 6th Street Garage, Twisted Mopar, John Lean Burn. Actually, even the van doesn't have Lean Burn. It was so bad they were embarrassed to put it in anything, I think, the 85. Big Block 402 NSB Custom Cars, Hot Rod Guy Garage Russell, Rapid Transit J, Pure Pontiac Garage, Grand Pito Vic, Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage. How's it going? Junkyard Delta, Heavens Mopars, Grandma Vic, Mean Street Mopar, a.k.a. Chumley's Stunt Devil from Pawn Stars. Andrew Nelson says, howdy from snowy Pennsylvania. Well, we don't have much snow. We got an inch of snow, but we've got plenty of ice, and that's the part that gets on my nerves there. Cool. Good little crowd in here. But anyway, welcome to Friday. Still recovering from Thursday. Had a midweek live this week. Just doing something different. So for those of you regulars who actually want to put up with 4 hours of me instead of 2, more power to you. LSS Drone Photography, a.k.a. Steve. How's it going? Big Block 402 says they've got 6 inches of snow. Right on. Big Hoopty Mike is in here. Wrong English. Yeah, so I kind of... few months ago, I put rear wheel bearings in the CRV assault vehicle, and on those, you take the rear hubs off, you press the bearing out. I prefer to use a press. I just don't like getting those things as hot like some people do. So anyway, I do those in the press. The bad thing is the rear wheel speed sensors. They just fuse into those knuckles, and you cannot get them out without destroying them. So I said, well, okay, I'll be smart. I'm going to clip this wire because the wire runs somewhere way back up under the car. I couldn't even find the other end of that wire. So I clipped the end on it, and I said, the analog brakes have never worked on it as long as I've had it anyway. I don't care. So last year, it must have been must have been a year ago, because I remember last year I go up a driveway. I'm like, oh my gosh, my 4-wheel drive is not working at all. And it occurred to me in the middle of the hill trying to get up that driveway with snow all over it. I said, oh, those rear wheel speed sensors, it needs those for the 4-wheel drive. And then I got to looking why it doesn't work. CRVs have a clutch kind of like your torque converter or like your AC on your car. It's an electric clutch on the pinion of the rear end. So when your rear wheel speed sensors see the front wheel spinning, it will turn that clutch on, and that's what turns on your 4-wheel drive. I never had any idea. It's always just been totally no maintenance, full-time all-wheel drive, but apparently it doesn't turn on unless your speed differential. So I'm like, oh, I needed those for something. So anyway, we got through all last year, never thought about it again. And then this year I'm like, oh, man, I wish I had hooked those back up. So anyway, who knows how many years I'm going to go on without having 4-wheel drive on that thing for no good reason. Scrap Iron Racing says he's in the house. Captain Dew is here. Heavens Mopars like the live on firearm training. Yeah, if you guys like it, we can do another. There's all kinds of stuff I can do on that. Big Block 402 is talking about that small cube 333 triple crown, whatever. That thing has a wild series of names. I have no idea, man. That's we'll see what happens with it. Might be exciting. Colleen's got a big old compound greeting going on here. Man, that's got to be a record. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 23 people in one post to greet. I'm impressed with that. That's pretty good. Street Fox 5.0, aka Street Fox 347, aka Street Fox Mike. Old McDonald has a car. Yeah, so our guys that were trying to get quicker and quicker each year for No Name Nationals, now we're going smaller. Yeah, but dude, what do you have to weigh for that? Because it's 9 pounds a cubic inch. So what's that truck going to get to weigh for that? Captain Dew says 4 inches of snow there, melting quick. Nothing's melting here. It's too cold. One-Eyed Cat's had a one-wheel peel Freestar. Yeah, I get it. I think 26 is maybe. If you abbreviate enough, I guess you can do it. Levi says, evening gentlemen and gentlewomen. It should be evening gentlemen and ladies, and it should be evening ladies and gentlemen. Although I think that the new whims and wills of politics have been changing that. I think what you have is actually more politically fashionable now. But that said, there are hardly any gentlemen and virtually no ladies left in the known universe. So why worry about technicalities like that? Buff Del Campo is here. SSR Performance. Well, I wasn't worried about making the break. I'm just saying, how much more are you going to weigh than you need to? 1,000 pounds over or more? Easily. Brazil had planned on testing this weekend. The weather kind of screwed that up. What, you don't have studded snow tires for the Galaxy? Yes, Captain Dew. That was on purpose. That was on purpose. And I wasn't talking about guns. I was talking about firearm training, which is two different things. Two different things. Firearm training and firearms are the same thing, just like our community and the car show people that sit in lawn chairs with white New Balances are the same thing. Well, it's all cars, right? I'm like, no, it's not the same thing at all. You're right. It's not the same thing at all. Yes. Well, I agree. That's common courtesy. Levi's asking where my leftist agenda is. My bathroom is downstairs. Yeah, it's interesting. So I wonder how many people will be in that class. It should be interesting. We'll see what comes of that. Lars has a short of me hauling lumber in the CRV. Oh my gosh, the stuff I've put in that vehicle. 16-foot boards. I towed a crew cab 4-wheel drive Ranger on a car dolly with it. Towed a Roadrunner with it. I've towed a Camaro with it. All kinds of stuff. Never. I mean, people just wouldn't believe how little I've done to that car in all these years. I have the maintenance log on it. Never put an alternator on it. Never put a water pump on it. I put a valve cover gasket on it once. Still leaks. There are two types of thing in this world. One that talk and one that does training. 3, one that talks about it, one that does it, and one who thinks he's training just by going to the range and shooting and thinks that's training. That's a lot of people. LS's Drone Photography, who, by the way, his day gig is working at a tire shop. Had a lady come in for tires and have studs put. Yeah, that's unusual. You rarely ever see that anymore. But what I hate about those things, they tear the roads to pieces. Man, they're so rough on the roads. I mean, I get it. There's places, where they really, they work, and you pretty well have to have them. Like if you live up in the haulers or something, but Most of the time, what's needed in inclement weather is just a little bit of sense and some patience just a mild amount of driving skill, and that's what people don't have. Evans Mopar's Dodge Caliber is a truck also. Well, I don't call the CRV a truck. It works. Works well. Yeah, it's not like we live in Alaska. That's right. But she doesn't care. She'll dig those roads up with those things, have them on in June. She will only take them off when the sound gets on her nerves and not until. I had some snow tires one time that were recaps, and I didn't put the studs in them. They were made for them. I didn't put them in. That car go like a tank with those things on. They were really good. Got a lot of miles out of them. Ran them all I could. They do fall apart eventually. Ice racing in Minnesota. I've seen that. That's pretty wild. Where they put the studded snow tires on the drag cars in Minnesota. I've seen that. Yeah, they're supposed to be, but still, a person's running around in March when it's in the 60s in a t-shirt. People, when you get out driving around, especially in inclement weather, you realize how clueless most people are. I was watching a guy today on the way to dinner driving about a car length off the back of another car on a snow-covered road at about 40 miles an hour. I'm thinking the only reason he's not eating the radiator out of that van he's driving is because the car in front of him chooses to not hit its brakes. Just stupid, just so stupid. He was driving so close, I thought it looked like road rage, but I saw it beside, and it was just a clueless driver who didn't know what he was doing. Danny Boyd says first time he'd ever seen studded snow tires was in the 10th grade on my buddy's 7071 Torino, spinning them on wet pavement, throwing sparks. Yeah. I don't really care about the road. I care about the other people I have to share it with. I can deal with any road. Mexican Spec is here. Howdy. We go to have 5 countries in here. We can get Canada, Mexico, United States, New Zealand, and Australia. That's all of our regular countries. And if we get a 6th country like California, that's cool too. Captain Dew's got a workable 8-track player. Yeah, I've actually installed an 8-track player. An old Sparkomatic. Mexican Spec says, I am regular. Woohoo. Keep up with your fiber. I get it. We'll trade California for Canada. I don't know if I'd trade California for Canada. I just think we're building a wall in the wrong place. Puerto Rico here. You're not in Puerto Rico, though. Yeah, right. No, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. I know some people who are regulars in here who are from California, but they don't live there. Okay, Puerto Rican, but not in Puerto Rico. So you don't get another country out of that. Mexican Spec has Bill Cosby comedy 8 tracks. Well, that's a collector's item now. Black bean soup. Interesting. Okay. Didn't know that. That sounds good. Danny Boyd's the kind of guy that if he says something like that's good, it probably is. About to get the Gulf of America. I think he just says that stuff to just for the sheer entertainment of watching him freak out thinking he's going to do it. I really think. No, she got it. Look at you testing fate like that, Grand Vic. Buff Del Campo said, I left California in 1991. Best thing I ever did. I get that. Yeah, Gulf of America. I don't know about that. And the Greenland thing just cracks me up. I remember my dad would say that when we bought Alaska for 2 cents an acre, we got ripped off. Levi says, you have to remember, if you cut off California, you lose that drag racing history forever. Dude, they're going to make a parking lot out of all before it's done anyway. And we already have. NHRA is committed to racing as much of it as they possibly can as it is. So we can't possibly beat anyone to the punch on that. They're doing it for us. How long is it going to be before Pomona's a parking lot or something anyway? Daisy wheels. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maybe those. I think maybe that weird looking. Looks kind of like a mutated Krager SS a little bit. Looked like Dakota may have sneaked in here. Howdy. How's it going, sir? Unfinished Project said that Puerto Rico has 18 for legal drinking age. I believe Germany's 16. So it's all relative. I had a German teacher in college say that in Germany they start counting with their thumb, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. So he said if you order a beer, you don't order it like this; they'll send you 2 of them. You have to order it like that. I don't know. He just said that. I've never tested that in my life. So Daisy wheels 200. I got a pair of 14 inchers. I don't know. Dakota, I got a couple of Pontiac wheels. I just need to bring you. Brazil's got an 8-track in his ramp truck looking for another one. Yeah, you can find them. I've seen them on eBay floating around like new ones. Who's got the inside scoop on Kenny Nolan and the Memphis fiasco? I've heard a little bit about it, but I was talking with Dallas today, and I just told Dallas, I said, you have no idea how little any of that stuff means to my wife. So how's that? I know you like Pontiac wheels. That's why I was thinking of just if I'm ever going that way, I'll just bring them. They're just taking up room here. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Danny Boy. I think I know what you're talking about. I have one of those here. These Good Time Garages, the Charger might get an 8-track at some point. Cool. Yeah, last time I came over, I put Dakota in timeout in person. It's actually a video of that on my channel. I hope they reopen Memphis since it's only 40 minutes from me. More and more tracks are just going away. There's a few old tracks I'd like to see the ruins and remnants of sometime. Like I'd like to see Big Al's drag lands. I've never been there. I've driven by it I don't know how many times, but it's in a place that's going to be kind of hard to get to. You kind of have to do what could be some creative trespassing, but I don't know. But it looks like the track is sort of still there. Grand Pito Vic likes red bean stew and rice. That sounds good. Krager SS center lines are the best looking wheels on darts, according to Old McDonald. Yeah, they're good looking wheels. Sure. I wouldn't know. Rally 2 wheels, Dakota suggests. I have no idea. Lars put up the link to when I visited Dakota and put him in timeout in person. That video is cool to watch. Dakota's old man's cool. We get to take a look at his flathead V8 Ford tractor. Neat stuff. Brazil went to Memphis the last year it was open. I've been by Atlanta Dragway a handful of times as it's been being torn down. It's just so sad. I think something ridiculous is going to be like retail or something will be there soon. Beth Lee is here from Chile, Arizona. How's it going? Those guys put on a fun show over there. Go check them out. If you like to play party games, that's a good place to do it. Danny Boyd hasn't seen two-lane blacktop in a long time. Well, watch it. Dakota's Timeout and Stephen Host live up to their channel names. Yeah, I think that's fair. Dan, the IT guy, yeah. Dan, the IT guy, still cheering on the player in his game, Butt Monkey, who won the last round of his party game. I was fun watching that one. Exactly. Yeah, good folks. Junkyard D. Glad you're here. You kind of keep us. You always remind us that you're watching. You're keeping an eye on us. Unfinished project. Wants to know how the chili's coming along. Captain Dew is working on his truck, using more cameras, as a Galaxy S24 FE smartphone. Okay. I mean, people get hung up about video quality, when in reality, I would take less video quality and better audio any day. And good video is fine. And there is something weird about when you go to 60 frames a second. Everything looks like it's moving faster than it should. I know it might just be me, but it does. Kind of makes me a little dizzy. SSR, I have no idea. I have no idea. It's you, Big Block 402, Stephen. I don't know who else. Matt Travers enjoyed the Thursday live. Yeah, if you guys like gun training content, there's a lot more we can do on that. I don't know. We certainly do another one. Just let me know. We can do it. And we're going to, I'll mention it here since I mentioned it on Lars, or I mentioned it on Thursday night. Lars and I are working on it. We're going to be hosting a Middle Tennessee gun training class this spring. So keep your eyes out for that. And the way I want to work it is I'll charge regular tuition, but I'm going to cover the overhead out of pocket, and the tuition will go in gross to the No Name Nationals General Fund. So that's what we're going to do to make it a fundraiser for the No Name Nationals, because every little bit helps. And I think it's a good way to do it. So. See, when I had a retail space and taught firearm training, all the money made went back into the class. And so I kept getting upgrades, man, nicer desks, nicer seats, headphones for the students, a general fund for ammo for people, that were really scraping their money up just to be there in the first place, loaner guns for the students. Everything went back into the class. And so now I don't have a retail classroom location anymore. COVID really put a damper on that. I've been doing traveling to train, but I still have, the hardware and everything. So I'll cover the overhead. It won't be that bad, but whatever people pay in tuition when they register will go directly into the No Name Nationals. So in addition to what little tiny bit of YouTube money this channel makes. And that just augments the participant registrations, the little bit of merch sale and spectator tickets and the gate. And the time you add it all together, we pay for our family reunion. Yeah, I don't know what all it is, Captain Do, but I'll tell you, it almost gives me a headache. Mexican Spec is talking about how can we get a bumper sent to him. I'll tell you what, I ordered a bumper from Utah a while back, and dude sent it in a box Greyhound, which I thought was kind of wild. I had this vision of the bumper riding next to Forrest Gump on a bus. It was kind of a pain. I had to go downtown Roanoke to the Greyhound terminal and pick it up, and it was not convenient. That part sucked, but whatever. When you're looking for a 68 dart bumper, they don't grow on trees. Here you go. Old McDonald's got one right here for LSS drone photography. Your next gun video should be how to shoot down a drone. No. Ever done projects? Says, I always notice when someone reinvests the money made, things generally look better and do better. Well, yeah. I mean, well, I will say this. I never did that for a living, nor do I do this for a living. So that's the difference. Hot Rod Guy Garage is 251 days, 3 hours, and 34 minutes until the 4th annual AHRA No Name Nationals. So go ahead and register. That would be great. We've got good registration numbers, but we always have a big wave when it opens, and then it slows down a little, and they all just trickle in, and we get them over time. Fastenal, yeah. I hear Fastenal is a good way to ship stuff. The 63 Plymouth front bumper doesn't grow on trees either. Well, I'm sure it doesn't. I'll tell you one that's probably harder to find than most people think is if you go a little bit later than that. Those bumpers from the late 70s and early 80s, I bet they're even harder to find. Because even though they're newer, they were so much worse about rusting. I don't know what they made those things out of. But, double shotgun barrel with both hammers. Don't know what that means, but that's cool. Yeah, double barrel shotguns are neat. Never owned one. Although I did take one in trade on tuition for class one time. Hey, man, I didn't say it. I think he was kidding because he saw you in here. No one wants to shoot down your drones. The 70 cars were junk with the bumpers on them. Yeah, they were, but the problem is they rust. That was when the bumpers, they started making them out of some kind of laminated tree bar tinfoil or something, and the things would rust out. Like those bumpers from the 60s weren't like that. The chrome would get bad on them quick, but the bumpers themselves wouldn't just turn to rust. Yeah, they could rust, but nothing like those what they started making in the 70s. Cheaped out. Yeah, they did. I don't know how. I don't know what the process change was, but there definitely was one. Not many 70s, 80s saved for parts. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they weren't. That is true. You can find a whole lot more, say, 66 Chargers than you can 76 or 75 Chargers. In fact, most of you guys probably can't place in your minds what a 75 Charger looks like. That's why. Finished project doubling down. Only if you get caught. We don't. And the replacement bumpers are worse garbage? Yes. Well, these chrome bumpers they make now are just pitiful. Dakota's got a Chinese double barrel. It's really cool. Not a lightweight piece of junk. It's got a good weight. What is a good weight, though? I mean, what does that necessarily mean? Max Wedge says, I hate to see you pay $200 for shipping. I'd hate to see you pay $1,000 driving. Fiberglass bumpers don't rust. And yes, and you still have a fiberglass bumper. 20-inch barrel. Yeah. All right. Cordoba. Yeah. I wanted it to grow on me more than it has, but those just looked so weird. They just looked so weird. And the graphics were just horrible. 75 up chart. Yeah. Of course, you see the thumbnail Colleen has there. Captain New, you going to have that ready in 251 days, 3.5 hours? Tell us in the comments if you think he's going to have that together. Yeah, I knew this crowd would know what that 75 Charger looked like. Pull a mold off the bumper before it's bent. Yeah, I reckon. I've never done that, but you're right. Johnny C. used to work as a shipper and baggage kid at the Greyhound during high school. Yeah, oh, cool. He said that their next bus out cost more, but the parcel traveled like a passenger schedule, so arrived faster. Oh, that's pretty cool. I guess whatever gets it there. I just didn't like the experience of how I had to go downtown to pick it up. Don't forget, Chinese SKSs aren't bad. The Chinese invented gunpowder. I know Dakota probably won't listen to this and he'll get something rough as a corn cob, but I'm telling you, you will be money ahead to save up and pass on the rough 68 to 70 Chargers you look at to start with and wait until you get one that's together and better. You really will. Old McDonald, I have no idea what that even I have no idea what that even means. 180 is backwards, and I haven't a clue. I will tell you though, 200 shipping is better than driving it. I could see how fiberglass bumpers, if you got to make something out of fiberglass, a bumper would be a good part to make. But still, I've never done it. Missing the engine is an acceptable element of rough. I don't even consider that rough. I just consider that incomplete in an easily acceptable way. LSS Drone says, one of my first cars as a teenager was a 78 Chevette. I love that car, but I was just a kid. Yeah, I think they're cool. And the Chevy Sprints with 3-cylinder, I got to tell you, if anybody sees I would love to have a Chevy Sprint engine and automatic transmission from a Sprint. Just saying. Use the chrome paint on a fiberglass bumper. I guess. GLH Turbo was great until the trans grenaded. Yeah, those were cool little cars. I don't know what transmission were in those. It was a little manual front wheel drive box, but I don't know anything about it. Never done one of those. LSS Drone like the Mazda RX-7. That was a rotary engine, wasn't it? I think those are neat. Never gotten to work on a rotary. Grand Pito Vic's first car was an 84 Honda CRX 5-speed. Yep. Got stolen. I can believe that. Getrag 525. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Sounds like a complicated transmission. Jody Pearson, thanks for the Christmas card. Wasn't expecting that. Well, it's cool to send it when somebody's not expecting it now, isn't it? One-Eyed Cat drove 412 miles to pick up his new converter. I'm assuming that's 206 each way. Turned more than one into powder. Wow. Couldn't blow it up. Yeah, those things rev. They're cool. 79 cubic inches, but those things had a lot of power for 79 cubes anyway. They're just kind of weird to deal with, but I think they're neat. I wouldn't mind having a rotary engine. I saw one in the junkyard. I wish I'd have grabbed it. Dust Devil Garage says he's going to get his 71 Plymouth Satellite in May. That he's had for what, a couple of years now. Rotaries rock. They're pretty neat. I like the sound of them. Grandma Vic thinks the Crown Vic can be ready by September. If you're going to have it ready by September, you need to try to have it ready by July. Telling you. Because you will have problems multiply and the time will just run out. So I would make everything on a July schedule if you want to have it by September. Heavens Mopar says pros and cons of saving up for a better charger. I'll have new charger metal when finished for under 10K. Right. And that's when. So I'm going to bust on you for that, Heavens Mopars. I think saving up is going to be the way to go for him, because by the time you $50 to death yourself with all the small parts for a charger, you're not only going to be there, I think you'd have more getting something a little more complete to begin with. But you and I remember when those things, you could get a really complete car for a few $1,000s. We remember that. Dakota does not. So he won't have as much problem paying for one as you or I would. Mexican Spec said he asked his contact at the post office if he could ask the mailman if my card came in. Who is a contact at the post office? That's interesting. 71 Satellite's a good one. I agree. Cool cars. Why'd they quit making the rotary engine, or they still do? I don't know. Well, they quit making it. I don't know why they do. It's pretty unconventional. I don't know why, but if I had to guess, emissions or something to do with money, if I just had to guess. Grand Pito Vic wants it ready by June for breaking in. Yeah, I get it. Testing, I get it. I'm telling you, 206 each way and hang out with Max Wedge, Dick Dastardly. Yep. But will it have a title, Scott? Don't know. That's never even thought about asking. The way people are so scammy with titles today, I think anything can have a title. People practically just sell titles these days, and VINs, and stick, VIN plates on cars, didn't have them and everything. And people act like it's legitimate, which I hate. They tell, oh, we just rebodied it is all. Well, that's a different car. I don't like this scammy stuff like that. But we're in that age now. Emissions killed the rotary. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Emissions would probably it. Or at least that was their cover story excuse. Levi says having an inside person in any government facility is an extreme upper hand. If it's the right person, yeah. If they work for the Crown, it's not. Yeah, Mexican Spec knows his post office people because of all the shipping he does. Yeah, that makes sense. All I know is we've got Post Office Pam downtown, and here probably in about a month or so, she's going to be shipping out a clock. So we'll see who's going to wind up getting the 4th No Name Nationals inspirational clock. It's coming. Evans Mopar's dad sold his 68 Charger for $3,000 to pay bills in high school. Yeah, that was a good Charger in for $3,000 back then. A rough one was a lot less than that too. Unfinished Project says never sell things to pay bills, make money to pay bills. That's true. You have too many bills if you need to sell things to pay bills. It's true. What's the No Name Nationals clock? Well, each year we've had a clock go out to a person who has bitten off more than he can chew or whatever. And the first year's clock went to Dust Devil Garage, and the second year's clock went to Mopar's Mustangs and Minivans. And the third annual clock went to Heavens Mopars, and the fourth annual clock has yet to be awarded. But sometime within about the next month, there's going to be a clock going out to a channel who has bitten off more than he or she can chew, and they're going to get an inspirational clock. Yeah, Don says, but yeah, but you can look, those 3 channels, you can see the clocks on their channels. Right. Make your money on the buy. That is a lot of truth in that, generally speaking. You think the clock is clever? The clock is cool. But we will see who winds up getting the clock for 2025. Dust Devil got the first one. Colleen and Damien got the second one. Scott got the third one. And the fourth one is TBA. So what will happen is a clock will go together. Last year I did a community post when Post Office Pam put it in the mail, and then you just see what channel where it shows up. Well, you didn't get a clock like that one. In fact, I'm looking at the clock itself. Lars put up a link to Heavens Mopar's clock video from last year. So there you go. If you want to see what one of those clocks looks like, this year's design is going to be even better. So, and I designed that clock. I'm going to be designing this year's myself. Grand Pito Vic sold a 72 Chevelle to buy a 97 S10 4.3 liter extended cab, new off the lot. Met his wife in that S10 a couple years before we got married in August of 2000. Well, there you go. Exactly. Once your assets are gone, now what? Right. Exactly. That's exactly what unfinished project. I got it. I got it immediately. Mr. Rodder's neighborhood says, speaking of the clock, the idea was to let them know the clock is ticking. Well, yeah, I mean, it's for somebody who's going to run out of time. So that was the way to give them, say, hey, we're trying to give you some more time. Here's a clock. So get to work. That's right. Like I've explained the torque converter to the one-eyed cat. Cool. Grand Pito Vic sold the Chevelle, got a new truck and a new wife, which wound up costing way more than the Chevelle ever would, I'm sure. Kind of how that works out. 38 Racing's working. One-eyed cat's working. LSS, think, what were you at? Were you 275 or something a few days ago? I've seen a few years going around. T's Good Time Garage says, my dad traded his 69 Dodge Charger RT to buy a new Ford F-150. He still has the F-150. Well, good, because he doesn't still have the 69 Charger. Dust Devil says, someone needs to break the clock curse this year. It's not a curse. It's for the person who's bitten off way more than he can chew. You, generally speaking, or the person who, seems like they need more time for whatever reason. There's some candidates out there. Mr. Rodder, why ask? I had people campaigning for the clock last year, and I'm like, no. With a 77 model truck. Well, that's cool. That's cool. Danny Boyd sold his 68 Cougar to make room in the driveway. Guess priorities were different back then. Well, I mean, let's see. Dad got rid of a 66 Mustang to get a 68 Falcon 4-door right before I was born. If you have more time in a day, you'd have more to do. I mean, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Now, if you can live for about another 2 million years, we'll have 30 hours in a day, because the Earth is going to slow on its axis to where we have about 30 hours per day. So if you make it 2 million more years, report back to us and let us know how you're liking the extra 6 hours. Meadowlark Yellow, yeah, I can dig that. Lowry's Garage, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Dust Devil Garage, I know of 3 that wanted the clock last year. Yeah, that clock is pretty popular, but there can only be one each year. And unfortunately, that clock design is discontinued, so it'll probably change a little bit for 2026. Don't worry, you're not missing out. Those are not the most high-end clocks. You spent too much time on the internet? I always do. Have to for my job too. I had some time to kill yesterday, and I said, well, I got some work to do, so I went by the library and did about a half hour of work over there for a client. I mean, just, you do what you got to do. Well, yeah, you'll get 30 hours. You'll get 30 hours, and who in the world knows in 2 million years what the climate would be? It could be hotter or colder. We don't know. So I don't want to deserve the clock. No, people like you don't. That's the thing. There's a lot of people who probably never get a clock, like 38 Racing or Just Mopar Joe and these people. No, because they're always got their stuff done, air to spare, everything together. Leave says I have a lot to do, but don't deserve the clock. Yeah, the clock goes to that person who, well, I only have everything to do, and I still got 90 days, and I still have a quarter of a car sitting here, and it'll all come. There's plenty of time. It'll all come together. It comes to that guy, usually. Scott's got a 68 Coronet for sale, doesn't have a title. Neither is the Charger. Yeah, I mean, some states you need it, some states you don't. I always thought that the hidden headlight cars looked weird. I always thought they did. It's just personal. I just never thought they looked right. Lowry's Garage is 14 hours into a 16-hour shift, plowing snow trucks running. Yeah, but you're making money. I had a buddy that would get seasonal snowplow contracts. And where we were, gosh, this is right now, this inch of snow is the most snow we've had in probably 4 years right now. And he was killing it because he was getting these seasonal contracts. He had a seasonal contract to plow the local Kmart. It wasn't even open anymore. And he had a seasonal contract on it. I was just free money. They had a seasonal contract for the Walmart. It's great, but that business dried up. They started to figure out they were wasting an awful lot of money. Brazil said Russell is starting with a bare shell this year. I think that puts him in the running. Yeah, but Russell gets stuff done. You got to understand, Russell with a bare shell is farther ahead than some people that just, I just need to put a water pump on it and check the oil. I'll be there. Russell will get more done than the other guy will. That's how he is. Lone Wrench Garage says, hello, how's it going? Lone Wrench Garage, I believe, is registered in the No Name 500. He's got a long way to go, but he is registered. He's on my channel. Mexican Spec thinks covered headlight cars look the best. They were very popular. A lot of people liked them. It was just never my thing. But, yeah, I know they're very popular. Heavens Mopar says Superbird up front for hidden headlights. Well, if I was going to have an AHRA car, I would want to have the Charger 500 that doesn't have the hidden headlights. How about that? I like this. I like Lone Wrench, Loan Wrench. Loner Wrench Garage. I like that. Here's a link to Lone Wrench Garage. I believe he had 18 subs just before this live stream, so check him out. And as was always, check out his channel, see if you earned your sub. He's got good ways to go, but it's early, and he can definitely do it. And now it's Load Wrench Garage. Mr. Rotter says, I have less than a bare shell, just have a frame. But we'll see what it is you want to do with that. You've also got a complete running turnkey T-Bird sitting there too, so that's an option. Got one video start producing. Yeah, well, how'd you get there, Levi? 100% correct on Russell getting his stuff done? Yes, I am. Actually, both of our Russells are like that. Outfits Russell's the same way. I remember for the first No Name 500, Outfits Garage Russell drug a car in out of a bunch of briars in the middle of snow and drug it into his garage and fires up his heaters in there and gets to work on it. And he brought it to the No Name Nationals and he raced it because he's a get stuff done guy. Everybody who was out in the snow dragging stuff in, those are the people who make it. The people who are out on a day like today getting their car in the garage, they make it. It's the people who say, well, I'm going to wait till spring and then I'm going to get busy. They never make it. Buff says it's still doing a short a day. Yeah, Buff's channel's really grown from doing it too. We'll be making that challenge again this year. That was fun. Although this year's No Name 500 class is pretty small because they keep re-registering as established channels. So we don't necessarily know what the future of the No Name 500 will be. It's absolutely served its purpose, but we'll see how it goes into the future. Well, right now, we've only got 2 registered in the No Name 500. Registration numbers are healthy, but that's because the people who make it from years past have re-registered as established channels. Turbo Tom said, I've had a headache for 10 days. It started 5 hours after my last smoke. Push through, man. You'll get there. Big Block 402 is knocking cam bearings out of a block tomorrow. Yikes. Unfinished projects wait until spring. Wait till whenever you want. Grampito Vic says he wants to get his car done, but he'll show up in a rental if he needs to because meeting people means more than finished car. Sure, you can still get your car done. You can still be there. Grampito Vic says, when I quit smoking, I had a headache for a few months. But when did you quit smoking? So I thought you were smoking in the video not long ago. Maybe I'm wrong. Dutch Guy's Garage is here. How's it going, sir? Yeah, coming to meet all the people is really where it's at. I'm telling you, a lot of people don't realize that is a lot of fun. That's why you get there. Grampito Vic stopped for 2.5 years and a beer and a friend I restarted working on stopping again. Okay. Dan the IT guy quit when he got dental implants. Okay. Yeah. The teeth are about the best original part I have left. The rest of it's all pretty well aged like milk. Mr. Rotter says, finish the car. Dallas Wood. Back in August. Okay, cool. Congratulations. The T-Bird that you could bring if you wanted to, or the 63 Buick, Probably means the T-birds would look better in the pictures, but. I do have white teeth. I got nothing else going for me. But I got good teeth. Yeah, that'll be fun to see Dallas get the 63 Buick together. That'll be neat. That 63 Buick might be what he built that Triple Crown class around. I do like it, though. If I was going to have a Buick, that's what it would be. I love the size of that car. It's built on a Corvair body. It's a little downsized Buick. It's cool. I will tell you, Grand Pito Vic, we've had a number of channels actually tow unfinished cars there just to show them, just so that viewers can see them at the event. We've actually seen that. We've seen that with Dust Devil Brines and Clint Street Machines. What is that thing he has? That Brat Think, the Subaru Brat, and it looks like something Rat Think would drive. So people have done that before. We've had people get their car running for the first time there. Buff's Garage did that once. Cement Surfer did that. So we've had that. Frizzell has an open call out for No Name Nationals. Lars put up the link. And yes, I did do a video on that Buick. If you want to see it, it's on my channel. It's got Dallas and I in the Buick right in the thumbnail. Can't miss it. Buffdale Campbell said we drove an unfinished car. Everybody drove an unfinished car. Everybody. They're never done. Drove an unfinished car. So did everybody. Connor kind of did that last year. Yeah, he got his running there. It was a mess. He replaced the intake. He had the seal just pouring on the back. I guess he put the cork seal in there and just didn't get it sealed. So they had the intake off of it in the pits. That is, I don't know, it was a Diplomat, Fifth Avenue or something. It was an M body, but those guys put on a good show. Yeah, that Road Beer Garage dude, he brought his. Yeah, we've had several do that actually. There's the Buick video. Thank you, appreciate it. Cool car. So you can see Mr. Rodder giving a tour of his Buick. Grand Pito Vic says, be running with the original squad car paint and rust. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, who have you ever seen getting a twist about a paint job for this event? Hey, here, check this out. Here's a sentence. I would take my car to the No Name Nationals, but the paint isn't nice enough. There's a sentence you'll never hear. Said no one. Heavens Mopar Scott says, I'm proud of myself for figuring out a way to fund everything I needed for the Charger in a year and assembling all the parts. Sometimes that's the hardest part. Yeah. Well, that was a whole lot of it, Scott. So if you can get back on it, if you're allowed to get back on it, you could have it done this year. You've got 251 days and 3 hours exactly to do it. Brazil noticed yesterday my belts are out of date, so I need to update that. Thank you for that. Try to give a little bit of slack on that, but the thing is you don't give a rolling slack because that just means the rule means nothing. And this is not the NHRA. Yeah, so Frizzell was asking if my car is finally NHRA legal. I don't know what's NHRA legal. That's not the rule book that we go by. Paint is paint. Really it is. I mean, it's if you want nice paint, get nice paint. If you don't. I mean, really, it's not like a must. Paint is just way down the priority for me. Everybody's different on that, though. NHRA requires a paint job. Yeah, they do for some classes. You're not allowed to run. I remember, I want to say, I think even the NMCA had that garbage where you had to apply for a hardship waiver for a race or something if you didn't have a full paint job. Absolute stupidity. Absolutely stupid. Sarah Canadian Diesel says, howdy, howdy. How's it going, sir? Bet you're absolutely freezing. How's the weather down there? However it is here is better than where you are. How about that? Don't care about the paint here. Neither do I. Lars puts up the link for the Cement Surfer and crew getting the Barracuda running at the No Name Nationals. Yeah, that was a good story of the first year. Russell and crew getting the Barracuda running at the event. Keeps the riffraff out. Yes, it actually does. It keeps the guys who sit around in a folding lawn chair who are bored out of their mind wearing white New Balance and a flat brim hat with a little rope on it and an iron-on with what kind of car it is on the hat and the jorts and the little key fob that says Corvette on it. Yeah, it keeps those guys out. It keeps that riffraff out. Exactly. Roy Boy says, paint would ruin my rust. Come on, man. Get your channel together. Participate. Let's see the ride. Shiny paint, what's that? It's something some guys spend more on than we would spend on an entire car. So they can be unhappy about how imperfect the paint job came out. Yeah, they spend all this money having the car painted, then they don't ever feel like they can drive it anywhere because of the nice paint job. Go figure. Big Block 402 says, my truck was painted in 1990. Check this out. My van was painted in 1985. I mean, all cars were painted at least once. Unless you have a body in white or a 68 Hurst Hemi Dart or something. Those actually weren't. Yeah, see, exactly. I'm sure my car had that once. I'm sure your car was painted in 1959. Sarah Canadian Diesel says it's shockingly warm up here. You even type like a Canadian. Well, look at this. What is that stuff? What that almost looks like Canadian dialect. It's 6 degrees Celsius, 42 Fahrenheit there. Okay, that's actually much better than it is here. Shiny paint causes stress. I don't know how much stress it would cause me, but you sure couldn't have as much fun with it, really. Repainted in 90, yeah. Shiny paint, I'm your Huckleberry. That's right. That's right. We got a shiny paint guy here, Bigfoot Mark. I got to tell you, though, I really miss the Jack Pine Savage. That's a beautiful car. Gosh. Old McDonald says my daughter was painted in 68. There you go. Laura says maybe I should bust out some New Balance and jorts at the No Name Nationals. Well, go for it. You got to have a hat. You got to have one of those goofy mesh back hats with the little foam padded bill that has the name of the car ironed on the front. You gotta have all that going on. I have a hat just like that was my grandfather's. I think it's got Packard on it in white iron-on letters. That was his brand. He liked Packards and Cadillacs. Brazil says, when I raised Southeast Gassers, they pushed for the cars to have nice paint. Yeah, well, and then you think about it, that makes sense because Quayne Stott wanted to have nostalgia to the point that you really feel like you're looking at a scene from the 60s, and you didn't have patinaed cars when they were practically new. So that does make sense. But that was his vision. That was his thing. He wouldn't even allow a shift light, so... Big Block 402 said the Jack Pine Savage was his favorite race car at the first No Name Nationals. I got to tell you, that thing sure was pretty running around the pits. I do miss it. I thought that was really cool. He says, Family's Garage Super B was my favorite street car. Yeah. Well, a lot of great cars there. Every year we've had great cars there. Something Garage is his bad grandpa. Was it Torino? Still has his original paint. Yeah. Danny Boyd says, I get a thrill from a racing patina. Okay. They're only original once, though. Jack Pie was awesome. Yep. Grampito Vic likes the Torinos of something garage. I actually think it's funny that we have a something garage. You got an everything else garage, and he was trying to think of a name. So, well, it's got to be something garage, and he literally made it that. I thought that was a good story, actually. Evans Mopar says, I rattle canned a Challenger I had back in the day just to get it all one color. Turned out okay. Next day, a cat jumped on the quarter panel and didn't make it. Left claw marks all the way down. Yeah, that's about right. Unfinished Project said, I love a crappy paint job, but hate the term patina. I don't like a paint job. I don't mind a paint job that is aged. See, there's a difference, because you can have a crappy paint job that was done last week by somebody that just doesn't know how to paint, like rattle can of 57 on the side of the road in the winter. That's a crappy paint job, but that's not the same as an old paint job that is just weathered. So that's what, to me, patina describes. So they are two different things. But I agree, patina is overused. And I'll tell you, how when it was overused was when you saw people trying to paint something to look like an original aged. That's when it just goes way too far. I hate that. Fake, there's nothing worse than fake patina. It's the worst. The worst. Must be talking about New Jersey. Yes, I am. I don't like the clear. No. Clearing over, just looks terrible. Because once you clear over it, then it just clearly looks altered. It's you don't have contrasting textures, and it gets real dark. It just doesn't look right at all when they clear over it at all. What's a paint job, says Nacho Cuda? Correct. That's a correct patina, so to speak, paint job on the Nacho Cuda. They had a defect in the Cleveland that year. What defect would that be, and what year was that? Let's see, Dougster's in here. Never done. Would rather see someone do their own paint job and be proud of it rather than down someone who doesn't have nice paint. Yeah, I don't care what kind of paint people have. It can be anywhere on the spectrum. Whatever people want to have. If somebody wants to spend 10 grand having a really nice paint job done, that's awesome. Somebody wants to just rattle can it to keep it from flashing over with rust, that's great. Do what makes you happy. Johnny says, he said our family car was a 70 Torino with hideaway lights. Love that frame. Yeah, I think more people than not, for sure, like hideaway headlights. It's just never been my jam. I always thought they were kind of funky. There's only one car that I think they look really, really freaking cool on, and that's more the way they hide than the lights themselves. And Dallas will know exactly what year. Is it a 65 Buick Riviera that has the vertical lights that kind of close like this, like in the movie Roadhouse? I am sure this crowd can tell me exactly which it was. Was it a 65 Riviera? Because that was a really good looking car. Stab it says, and then coat it special. Okay. Max Wedge tries to get rid of it. Okay. I get that. He likes shiny paint. No problem. 72, and I wasn't born yet, Grand Pito Vic says. Grand Pito Vic, you're what, a 76 model? Isn't that what you said? 65 Riviera. Yep. See, that's what I was thinking. I was right. Yep. 65. But those were the best looking hideaway headlights, I think, of anything. I just thought those were cool. That was a cool car in that movie. It's a shame that back then it was just, junk for a movie. I mean, that's a cool car. I hope it lived on and got fixed up and everything. Dougster Wolverine Garage has been acquiring more quality paint equipment, air dryers, siphon feed, names like DeVilbus and Binks. Okay. I want to see the Dougster's shift kit installed, his CRT shift pack. The first one. Brazil likes the hideaway headlights in the 67 Cougar. Yeah, most people like them in general. I just don't like them in general. But I like them for that 65 Riviera better than anything that ever had them. I think they were cool. Cave Dave is here. How's it going, sir? Cave Dave, what part of the country are you in? I know I ran into you in Middle Tennessee, or Western Tennessee one time, but whereabouts are you? Oh no, Jethro woke up from his nap and he's in there barking. That's not a good thing. Something about bad thrust bearings in those Clevelands. Okay. I've heard leaving your clutch pedal in puts an extra load on the thrust it doesn't need. People hammer dampers on, just squishes the thrust bearings in them. There's ways to damage a thrust bearing that a lot of people do. Dust Devil says the 67.8 Cougar was the man's version of a girl's car. I see what you did there. I like that. Max Wedge liked the hideaway headlights on the 69 Imperial. Does Jethro enjoy the snow? He actually kind of does, surprisingly. And he loves to catch a snowball. Pretty wild. On the Charger, it doesn't have hidden headlights and lights. Yeah, it kind of does. It's a clean look, but it's still not my bag, but it's all right. Dean Stevens says it's amazing how, unlike a Fairmont Futura, an 80 to 82 Thunderbird looks with hideaway headlamps. That 80 to 82 Thunderbird is a huge car. That's one of those barges right before the redesign in 83 that looked so good. West Tennessee. Okay, kind of I figured. Can't even place what that looks like, Dougster. I just remember the one from Roadhouse. The SSRs in West Kentucky. Cave Dave can't be too far. Yeah, I ran into him in Camden, Tennessee, or technically Holiday. So I knew he had to be out there. Sounds like a fun short. Jethro catching a snowball. If we ever got enough snow to do it, I'd get a short of it. The problem is I got to be holding on to him to do it, and it's just not easy. But I do need to get good video of that. Because you roll up a snowball and he catches it, that thing explodes. It's a pretty good video, actually. I should do that. If we do get enough snow tomorrow, maybe I'll do it. He likes the snow better than you'd think. Most pit bulls don't, but he does. Even though he doesn't like being cold, he loves getting out playing in it. Doesn't like being out in the rain, I can tell you that, but he loves the snow. 80 to 82 T-Bird was not a big car. 79 was huge. 80 to 82 still was big. 83 is when they finally made it reasonably smaller, but you're right. 79 was much bigger. '80, '81, '82 T-Bird were Fox body made to look like the last, but yeah, they were still. Yeah, I know what you're saying. There's a guy up the street that has one. It's cool. It's not a bad looking car, but it's not my jam. Mr. Rodder like the 65 Riviera. Yeah, they're great cars. Here's some kind of video of Jethro unfinished project. Put up the link to. Don't know what that is off the top of my head, but okay, it's a short of him. Matt Travers says some of my favorite cars are the 68, 9, and 70 Ford XLs with the hideaway headlights. What XLs? What are we talking about there? 82 T-Bird was the first to have the AOD transmission. Oh, okay. Did not know that. And at the No Name Nationals, yes. But I ran into you at Yeager's funeral before the first No Name Nationals, right before, like days before. Yep, Grand Pito Vic says 81 was the size of a Fairmont. Yeah, same chassis. Yeah, okay, cool. Mr. Rodders is partial to the 88 Bird. Yeah, I think that redesign looked great. When they redesigned that car for 83, it looked great. XL's a high-end Galaxy. Yeah, big cars. Yeah, I don't know, man. They cut a lot of the boxiness and stuff out of it, so whatever. I don't know, man. Let's measure the thickness on the chrome and bumper guards while we're at it. Roy Boy says Nick the van guy built a suite of Econoline. Should run good. Yeah, it should. Everything Nick builds runs good. He's a very conscientious builder. And he also he pays a lot of attention to things that have good idle and good vacuum at idle and work like they're supposed to. He's very conscientious like that. So he should have a good machine for No Name Nationals. Brazil says, I kind of want a Fox Body Thunderbird, the one with the chrome grille, for no other reason to build a Bill Elliott car. Okay. I could see that. Of course, if I was going to do anything, I would do that early, or do the 83 4 5 6 T-Bird, that one in there before the AHRA headlights, like Glidden had. That was a pretty cool looking car. If I was going to do one, that's what I'd do. I like the little Fox Body Mustangs. I always thought they were cool little cars. Hideaway headlights are okay. Don't care for the composite lights. Yeah, I'll tell you, one thing I like on a car is glass headlights, made of glass. Man, those acrylic covers that just fuzz all up, just not really my style, Bill. Something likes glass as well. I was looking for something right quick. Bear Rose is here. Dougster likes the look of the 55 Baby T-Bird. Yes, good looking cars. I don't like the changes they made to it for 57. I thought the 56 changes were okay. The 57 changes I wasn't crazy about. And of course, the 58 changes, well, you know the rest. I think it kind of fell off a cliff until 83. Tribute Bob Glidden 340 AHRA would be nice. Sure. Bob Glidden was going to continue that program, and there was supposedly there's a guy who said he had it for sale and claimed it was, who knows, but he had an F body, like a Volare, that Glidden was going to run for the 1980 season with the small block. And then the Ford deal came through and he went back to Ford. It was something like that. But supposedly he had a different car ready, a bigger car ready for the 80 season. They fuzz up, but they're easy to fix. Yeah, but guess what? Glass will look just as good as the day it was made 50 years later. I just like the glass. There's something authentic about it. Just like on a classic car, I do not like LEDs. It's not like people, but they're brighter. Like you're telling, like I don't know they're brighter. I do know LEDs are brighter. LEDs are awesome. LEDs are supposed to be bright. I like LEDs, but not on my classic cars. On my classic cars, I like incandescent bulbs because they look bright. So it's like people saying, yeah, man, but if you can get an eBay turbo for this much money and you can go this fast, like that's the only standard we should ever care about. Same thing. I like glass headlights because they're cool. Mr. Rotter said the 87, 88 T-Bird had a 4-inch longer wheelbase and 1-inch wider track than the Mustang. Yeah, I knew it was a little different. Evans Mopars had a German Shepherd that would catch rocks. Ooh, yeah, mine likes to play with rocks, but I don't let him. Lobby guys pay money, stuff gets approved. Yes, it happens. LP94 says, Mr. Rotter's bird hanging the front tires to No Name Nationals. Yes, you can see that in the intro to this video. That was created by our own LP94 Lars. The Bob Glidden arrow was a handful. Yes, it was. But not as bad as the EXP for 82. I saw an interview with Billy Glidden about that, and Ford, he got caught unprepared. He wanted to run a Cleveland in this EXP, and he had to go to a big block to be competitive. So they went to a 429 Boss-headed big block, and he said the thing drove like a fuel altered. I can imagine. It had to have been awful. I don't know who died and whose estate's in limbo, but okay. Hope that gets squared away. Vic Herd Villari. Well, it was one that was for sale. So look the dude up, see if you can buy it. There you go. There's video of Mr. Rotter's T-Bird with the front end up. Brazil says, let's face it, we all know the Ford Galaxy was the best looking car. I think Andy Griffith and Barney would agree. Incandescent bulbs because the car was designed to use them. No, that's never stopped us before. We'll adapt whatever to use whatever. Incandescent bulbs because the car is cooler. A German Shepherd that catches rocks? Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I don't want my dog to break a tooth, but he loves playing with rocks. I just don't let him. I want to keep his teeth. Lars puts up the link for Indecisive Garage, a no-name 500 contender. He's currently at 48 subscribers, so he's got almost 10% of the way. It's early. 251 days, 2 hours, and 35 minutes. He's got plenty of time, but be in on his journey early. Let's watch Tim get there. I'd say you'll see more content out of him when the weather breaks because he's up north. His tracks are closed, but that said, he's got plenty of time. Buff Del Campo likes the LED. Okay. He's now at 49. There you go. That's how you get them, one at a time. Outside cats play with rocks. I guess they're poor. Yeah, I don't know. Rocks are fun to play with. Look at all the people that buy earth moving equipment just because they can. Lone Wrench has 22 subs. Well, he's gained, I guess, 3 tonight. How about that? They're grinding away. They're getting there. Victor gave him 50. Cool. Here's a link to something about Glidden ZXP if you haven't seen it. Yeah, it's kind of like a fuel altered. Supposed to run a Cleveland. They wound up putting the Boss 429 in it. Yeah, Dan the IT guy says that our healer mix eats rocks. Yeah, mine won't eat rocks. He just likes playing with them, but he likes playing with sticks even more. He's got several. He's got his house stick. He's got a porch stick, one out in the yard. In fact, Lars even brought him a stick. He loves that stick. Rob's Rods and Streetcars is here. Thanks for joining us. Later, Grandma Vic. Thanks for coming by. Dougster says, Danster's the guy that had the baby bird as far back as I can remember, his 55 Ford F1. Cool. There, the fellow who owned it died not long ago, David Craig, but he has a 55 Ford Boss T-Bird, super cool car. Ran 550s with a naturally aspirated, I want to say it was a 331-inch small block. Wicked car. High-end everything. I believe it was a G-Force 5-speed. Car wasn't even cut up. Did a beautiful job on that car. He'd owned that car since it was almost new. I have to find some video of that and put up on my channel or something. I might even have some. I'll tell you who'd have it. This guy, if anybody's got video of it handy, it's this guy right here, Street Fox. Have you ever filmed David and Lynn Craig's Boss T-Bird that they have? Street Fox Mike. It's red. It's a wild small block manual transmission gear jammer car. If anybody here has video of it handy, it's these guys. I've got pictures of it. I should put some up. It's a really cool car and it runs really well. Really, really quick for what it is. There's Spencer's Drink Reviews and Chugs. Howdy. Thanks for coming by. Every now and then I'll see Spencer live watching a baseball game or chugging drinks and giving reviews. His channel is what it says it is. I don't know if y'all saw my screen buffer, but I did. That was kind of wild. Spencer says doing well. I'm here. I'm still 98.6. Street Fox says, if I did, I didn't know. Went to a lot of gear jammers. Yeah. Cool car. He died. I don't know if his son still runs it or not. But super nice people. Some of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. Lived in Roanoke. But if nothing else, I need to get in touch with the son maybe and do a walk around of it. But I should have some video of it running. Car was way quicker than it looked too. Maybe it'll come up real quick on an image result. I don't know. There's B&R. Nah, if it doesn't come up on the first page, it'll be difficult, and it's not. Dean Stevenson, we don't want to know. We don't want to know. Yeah, Spencer, are you out there where all the wildfires are? I saw, I'm starting to glitch. I don't think I am now. I think I was. Oh, by the way, this should be the last live stream I do from this hardware. Got a new computer coming, new to me. It's stuck in Illinois with UPS, but it should be here Monday. And so this should be the last stream from this piece of hardware. Dan, the IT guy, says, I live in Chandler, Arizona, constantly trying to find an old Mopar or something to drag out to Kentucky next year once Destroyers Ranch has a shop. Well, I'll tell you who to talk with is talk with Tony's Hot Rod Garage. He's in Prescott, Arizona, and he could probably help you find just that. Barrow says, when it comes to the F1 and F100, I prefer the F5 and 500 compared to the half ton because the front fender openings are more in proportion, in his opinion. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I get that. Grand Pito Vic says, I don't see any comments or messages. Okay, he's talking to Rob. Surely you see him on the screen here. We only get about 1,200 a show. Yeah, Dan, the IT guy. If you're looking for an old Mopar, you need to talk to Tony's Hot Rod Garage on here. He's a good dude to know in general, but he can help you with that. And there's the link. Look at that. Lars and UP. Right on it. Right on it. Yep. That's who you need to talk with. And also, Tony also does, like, he does these. He does the sweatshirts for No Name Nationals and the hats, does the hoodies, does good work too. Gunslinger Graphics is his company. He's what you call a polymath. He's a multi-talented guy. You know, I always count on Dean to make crazy sounding comments because if it weren't for the crazy sounding comments that Dean Stevenson makes, and I started to read them and they started to look normal, then I would know there's something wrong with me. So as long as Dean's comments continue to look esoteric and bizarre and everybody else's look normal, then I know I'm probably at least reasonably okay. Yeah. No, I can if you need it, but just drop him a message on his channel, whatever. He's easy to get hold of. In fact, I know that Tony saw Eric's car in person. Click all messages, but I'll warn you, dodgy people then show up. Yes, they do. There's 64 dodgy people in here right now. LSS Drone Photography says, I could use his help getting some shirts, not many, just a few from my company. Well, I'll tell you, talk to Tony. He's the guy. His work looks great. He did this one. I mean, Tony can design it, or you can design it, but he does good design work. He designed the Fame Money Community shirt. Well, I designed it in my head and told him exactly what we needed, and he made it come to life. How's that? Although that said, I do most of my design stuff, but he did do the design work on the back of that shirt, and it looks great. It's exactly what I was thinking of. Did Dean get his shirt? Yes, he did. There should be a couple of videos on his channel if you want to see it. And it is exactly what we said it was going to be. Buff Del Campo is going live in an hour and a half. Dean said, I had a polygraph once. It didn't go well. I don't think I'd ever want to take one of those things. I don't know. It's just something weird about that thing. I don't know. I don't like the whole idea of that. I'm not convinced that it's perfect enough science in my opinion. There's is that a shirt? Yeah, it's a short of Dean with his one-off No Name National shirt. Yes, he has the only shirt like that in the world. Yep. Colin gave him some ideas. Yeah, Tony's a good designer. He does good work. Dan, the IT guy, said, I had a toenail get ripped off by a door closing once. Didn't go well either. Well, you know, I don't know how getting a toenail ripped off can go well, but, you know, I hope it came back, I guess. Scott's reminding us he has a 68 Coronet for sale. So anybody's looking for one of those, Scott's got one, which is cool. Cool cars. Seem like they're a little harder to find parts for. They do have a lot of 1 year only stuff, but they are cool. They're definitely cool cars. Don't forget a 68 Corvette has the same grille as a 69 Charger 500 Aero car. It's the same grille. I always thought that was a nice look. It's not as ornate as the 69 Corvette that everybody likes, but I like that. It's all business. They make really good, low-key street machines. Barrow says some experience. If you build an F5 or F500 and run the F1 and F100 fuel tank and heater box, big trucks will blow the budget in a hurry. There's a reason ours doesn't have a heater. Okay. Yeah, I bet they do. I bet all your parts do cost more for those things. Dan the IT guy says, yep, came back just as crooked and painful as the first one. I'll bet. Mr. Rotter says, Dean Stevenson is now my favorite YouTuber. Right on. Yeah, I told Tony, I said, well, this shirt's got to be printed upside down. He's upside down. It's right side up for us. You want a shirt on the other side of the world, it's got to be printed so we can read it. Heavens Mopars just sold another 68 Corvette about a month ago. Okay, so this is a different one. I thought it was the same car. Gosh, you're going to be 68 Corvette-less here pretty soon. Dan says, come to find some people wear shoes while working on their car. Dude, I would never work on a car barefoot, ever. Oh, my gosh. Busted Radio Garage. I'm interested in any Cordovas or Magnums you have. PM me if interested. Apparently, Chris is trying to build up a stock so he can have a hopper of them to go through. Bad Tree Blake says he may have just scored a Mordor 72 Valiant now for parts. It's a roller, but might be too nice. Okay. Yeah, you'll start seeing them come out of the woodwork now. Dean, all right now. No weird hour on this channel. Dean keeps me thinking, yep. I'm hoping Dean comes out to No Name Nationals. We'll see. Busted Radio Chris, I know you got a lot going on. Thanks for taking time out of your seriously busy car building schedule to say hi. Appreciate it. Mexican Spec suggesting a collection for a one-way ticket to Dean come to the race. I think Dean might want to get back. Okay, Bad Tree Blake did a trade for it. Sounds good. Heavens Mopars wants to keep the 69 Corvette to make a 69 Super B tribute clone, whatever. Hey, there we go. Unfinished Project found an article on that Boss T-Bird. There we go. It's a Motor Trend. Cool car. I don't know if I've seen that article, but the car is super cool. Yeah, that's why I say he's buying a hopper. See, how did I knew it. I knew it. Buying a hopper. Couldn't find the video. Yeah, I don't know. But that's cool that you found that article. That was really cool. So y'all check it out when you get a chance. I mean, I just think they did a beautiful job with that car. Now I need to find the old green brick articles. Yeah, if you haven't seen that car, that was a cool car too. Had a weird So for those of you who don't remember, too young, the way the stroker crank for the small block Mopar used to be a 3.79 inch stroker crank that was $800 30 years ago. And you could get like a 390 inch stroker out of it. Now for, a third the price, you get a 4-inch stroke crank, and that changed everything. But the green brick had one of those ancient type of strokers in it. And it was a road race handling type Valiant. I like those. Mr. Rodder's neighborhood said, I think Dean should take the Rangetarian. What is that? It's like a cross between a Ranger and a cafeteria or a tangerine. What is that? Same ship as Burt Monroe, the world's fastest Indian. Yeah. 2x6 bumper. Okay. That'll work. That's a serious bumper. I've never seen that movie, Wrong English. Evans Mopar, if you come out and you still want to sell that 400, I'm still a buyer. If you're coming here with a car, but I don't know, you'll probably fly in again this year, I'm thinking. I think you already have figured on that. So, Dean Stevenson, do you have a passport? My passport's been expired forever. I could do that again. I don't know why. It's not like I'm going anywhere that I need it. Yeah, no titles needed. Needs shipper. Yeah. When they crashed the green brick, they replaced the bumper with pine wood and a yellow duster fender. I never gave up and finished top 5 overall winner class. I don't remember what it did. I just remember the car in general. Yeah, do you need a visa to go to the U.S.? Yeah, Dean. I mean, you got to get it all together. You made Brooke get one, what, a passport? Okay. Guess y'all are going somewhere exotic. Dean can fly into Nashville and bunk with me. I'll give him a ride to No Name National so he can have the full experience. We break down and pull into the event. Okay. Dallas got some room. DRG is going to need a fleet of car haulers and dispatch this rate. Yep. Or Dean can drive one of their cars, No Name Nationals. The big thing is, Dean, you got all kinds of support on this end. All you need to do is get yourself over here. So wherever you fly into, we can make it work. Well, Levi, you can figure all that out from here. Better to have it not need. Have it not need it. Okay. And not have it and need it. Usually people say that backwards. Usually it's better to have and not need than need and not have. Whoa, Mr. Rodder's neighborhood says, I'm calling out BRG in the burnout contest. Well, that's if he shows up. I think he's got another event that's got precedence over it. So we'll see. If he shows up, that's going to be a good one. Dean can load up on chicken and be Sykeston bound. 38 wants to know, Dallas, what will you be bringing? Buff says, mine is always current in case Buff needs to get out of here. The 69 Riviera deal. Okay. Cool. Cultured Redneck Garage, welcome. Thanks for coming by, Kyle. Says if you plan on going on a cruise ship, a passport makes life so much easier. Basically, just walk on and off. I could see that. I've never been on a cruise ship, so. Something says I'll be bringing a couple of Mustangs this year. Dean Stevenson says Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich and waffle fries will have me in paradise. So, Dean, when have you eaten Chick-fil-A and where do you have one over there, or do you? They're changing the waffle fries. They're adding pea starch to keep them crispier longer. I read that. Brooke barely got on a pontoon boat. Cruise ship's out of the question. That's nuts. You go down a highway, it's way more dangerous than getting on a boat. Mr. Reynolds going to Vegas that weekend. Okay. Well, if it doesn't work out, no, you're welcome. LSS Drone Photography says I was on a cruise ship when I was in the Navy. Well, yeah, I reckon so. Levi's been to Cancun. I've never been to any of these places. Don't know that I need to. I'm not fond of going any place where I have to go unarmed, especially a dangerous place like that. Yeah, we're going to have more Fords there. We had a lot more Fords there this past year, too. We are seeing more Fords show up for no-name nationals. First year was more Mopar heavy because a lot of them were my buddies. But each year, even though the car count has stayed about the same, gone up a little, it's been a slightly lower percentage of Mopars each year because we've had more other makes. Oh, we know. It's anything but a cruise ship. They work you to death on a Navy ship, don't they, Dallas? Danny Boyd says Puerto Rico is probably as far as I'm ever going out of the lower 48. Yeah. There's plenty of adventure right here. .38 hasn't been to Florida or California. Not sure I want to. Well, they're there. I recommend a place or two in each if you want. Left Ocampo will be there with a 6-cylinder Ford. Cool. Danny Boyd's asking Levi, are you a nuclear engineer? Spoiler alert, no. Barrow says the first no-name nationals is rough on the Ford guys. Most of us broke were in parts limbo. That's every year for Ford people. Something says all I have are Fords except for my towing truck. There's some delicious irony in that if you think about it. Unfinished Project is claiming they have to get a passport before they can get a concealed weapon permit or concealed carry weapon or whatever CCW there stands for. I don't think so. I think that's just one of your acceptable forms of ID, but I don't think you have to. Mr. Rotter says, I've done 6 Deaths in the Navy. I mean, ships. 1 out of 10 do not recommend. Okay. Cultured Rednecks says, I thought I'd hate going on our last cruises. It was the second longest flotation, and I hate crowds, but I didn't feel crowded. Yeah, I would do it. One thing that keeps me from going on a cruise ship is I can't take Jethro. I'd love to, but I can't. So whatever. I got no one to go with anyway. Whatever. Mopars are slow, but they sure can tow. Well, they run when your Fords don't, so. Barrow says the best tow rig you can own is a Mopar, but it's not powered by a Mopar. Okay. So the Fords that run that international engine are powered by Ford? Cruise ship equals now you can't leave? Okay. Go on a cruise ship with Jethro as a service dog? There are people that do that emotional support animal stuff, which is a total scam. And I wouldn't do that. Basically getting a letter that talks about a mental problem in order to get your pet on a boat. And that's what everybody knows it is. And they'll scowl at you the whole time. You got that in your file. I wouldn't do that. I know people who've done that. I wouldn't. I just wish I could take him. I wish I could just get him a seat on an airplane and fly with him. That would make my life easier. Because see, what people don't realize is that, well, I don't ever want to fly. There's a lot of people who have that attitude. It's not about flying. It's about if I go to the West Coast and I fly, I don't lose 3 days going out and 3 days going back because I'm only a 4-hour drive from the East Coast of the United States here. So to me, flying is the only practical way I have enough time to do anything on the West Coast. It's an entire week of just driving, see, that I don't have if I fly. Busted Radio says, talk soon, rolling out. See you later, Chris. Thanks for coming by. Mr. Rotter likes his Buick-powered tow rig. Yes, if you haven't seen it, Mr. Rotter has a Suburban that is Buick-powered. It's pretty cool. He and I have taken that to No Name Nationals a few places. It's a good rig. Lars puts up the link reminding you Indecisive Garage is still on the hunt for 500 subscribers. He's in the No Name 500 right now. And I'll remind you, registered channels beginning approximately February 1 will have access to Edelbrock incentives. You'll have a website with your own login credentials where you can buy factory direct from Edelbrock Group, anything in the Edelbrock Group, Edelbrock TCI, Fuel Air Spark Technologies, Russell, anything in the Edelbrock Group, and you get deep discounts on it. So just want to remind you guys of that. It's a benefit. It is purely a perk and an incentive offered by Edelbrock for registered No Name Nationals participants channels. What about a fun week of driving? That's awesome. You just have to have the extra week to do it. I mean, it's just part of it, right? And you get beaten up by half a week of driving before you get there, too. So something else to think about. If I would go to, so I've been to the West Coast a few times, but it's always to train, like a 1911 operators class, defensive pistol workshop, stuff like that, right? Thunder Ranch, urban rifle, carbine class. I would not want to do 3 whole nonstop days of driving and then do 3 or 4 days, hard training in the heat with firearms. So that's another reason that's better about flying for something like that. Dean Stevenson says people wonder why I like lifting fridges. Okay, well, I don't like lifting them any more than absolutely necessary to get them where they need to go. Danny Boy dropped one on its side and it still works. Hope you waited a few minutes before you plugged that back in to keep the liquid out of the compressor. BNR is suggesting to fly into O'Hare Airport or Midway, Chicago. If you're flying in, St. Louis is going to be your closest major airport. Memphis is just about as close, but Memphis is a really crime-soaked, awful place to fly into. So, Flying is cheaper. Yeah, generally speaking, if you're flying that far, it is. If you buy your ticket right. Yes, you got to put up with the crap that comes with flying. Yes. And I've got extra at that because I'm always checking the bag for firearm and have to declare it and all of that stuff. The Edelbrock deal is very enticing. Yeah, well, good. It should be. That's what it's for. Hopefully, it will help you guys out to build your projects that you're bringing to the No Name Nationals. Charlotte or Atlanta for the East Coast, yeah. If I had to pick, I don't know. Well, I mean, Charlotte makes the most sense if you were going to fly there. But again, it's the best thing to do is just see what you can fly into St. Louis. It's closest. Lars wants him to come to the shore of this lake in Middle Tennessee. Okay. Grampito Vic's rolling out for work at 4:30 in the morning on a Sunday or Saturday. Okay. Good deal. Frigidaire was the Cadillac of refrigerators. Wasn't that kind of literally, what was GM's refrigeration? Was Frigidaire the brand that they had stock in? I can't remember. You GM guys will know that. I'm sure you will. I'm about to get about 10 posts telling me if that was right or not. Which one of those AC companies was the one that General Motors used, contracted? Danny IT guy says, I'm about to head to Kentucky. Are you heading out there to visit or are you going to relocate? B&R picked up a new old stock MSD Boost Timing Master from his old boss, Brandon. I think it's funny that you work for a guy named Brandon. Frigidaire was GM. There we go. I knew somebody would know. Okay. I wasn't sure. That's what I thought, but I wasn't completely sure. Because Dean alludes to all kinds of cryptic stuff from outer space. Next year or so towards Destroyer's Ranch. Cool. Excellent. Big Mike had a Kelvinator refrigerator. Yep. I have an old round top refrigerator from the 50s. It was my grandparents, still in the basement of their old house. Kelvinator was AMC. Cool. And Yuma is crazy. Cool. International Harvester made refrigerators and window AC units. Did not know that. That's interesting. I don't really care enough about air conditioning to even think about it, but I guess there's no real reason I couldn't charge up and use the air conditioning on the van. It has it. Just don't know how much I care. It's not a thing for me. I like two windows down and just rolling along on the road. What I really like is that month of the year you get into spring and into fall when you can have the windows down and stay stationary and it's not too hot and it's not too cold. But you don't get much of that each year. You don't get that perfect sweet spot in the middle. And Crosley was a radio and appliance refrigerator manufacturer, delved into manufacturing cars. Yeah, I see that. Since it's my least favorite part of a car to work on, I can see why if you could do that part, you wouldn't mind working on the entire car. Two windows down with AC on is even better. No way. Yuck. Then the IT guy went down there to the middle of nowhere and locked my keys and phone in the cell site I was visiting. Didn't end well. Mr. Rodder says, did Kelvinator refrigerators and GM compressor, Ford heat exchanger, and international expansion valve? Whoa, sounds like a mess to get parts of. Man, we're at our time already. We are at the 2-hour mark. Still have 60 people in here. But that said, I think we'll wrap it up tonight, unless anybody has anything else. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate it. And thanks for coming out last Thursday. We'll probably do another firearm training live sometime in the future. But the next thing coming up, besides being live this Friday again, also make sure to check out Tech Talk Live with Dallas and Professor P on Wednesday. If you have questions about the Edelbrock incentive programs or the Triple Crown class rules, that is a great place to ask them. We'll be live, of course, here again, planning to be live, of course, next Friday. And I've got a guest coming up pretty soon that you guys will want to see. He's a returning guest. I think you'll enjoy seeing him. And then we'll announce we'll do another firearm training live. Also, we're going to have a content creator workshop. We try to do one of those early in the season. So we do one of those, and we have Deke Denny on to talk about tech. So we'll probably do the content creator workshop first sometime around the end of this month. We'll have Deke Denny on to talk about tech probably next month. And then we'll probably do a couple more content creator workshops throughout the year and have Deke on at least one more time later in the season to give you guys every opportunity to pass tech on the first try like a breeze. So with that, we're going to wrap up. You guys have a great weekend, and I am out. Later.